right, welcome back. So we have no content in this app, and we would like to have content. If you go over to the solution here, you can kind of see what the content looks like. There's kind of an area up here for creating a post. So that's just kind of this top area here. And then there's a big list of posts right through here, which is great. And then each post has kind of like an own individual post. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make some components out of this. So this top area is going to be a component. Let's call it the create post component. This bottom area is going to be a component. It's going to be the post list component. And then within the post list, there's going to be individual components for each post. So let's go ahead and make some placeholder components. So we're going to say ngg component create post. And so we'll go ahead and make that guy. Now that's not a route, so we're not going to do pluses on it. And we're going to have post list, the component. You notice how I kind of use like a variable casing, and it figures out the casing depending on the context. So it makes the file, it uses hyphens. When it makes the class, it does things right there. And then the last one is for like an individual post. You could call it like a post card or a post view. I'm just going to call it post. And I know that it's a component because it says .component on it, right? Mine made sassy CSS, and it didn't make spec files because I set those things up in the Angular CLI. I think I actually kind of like that trick now. So over in the Angular CLI, where'd that trick come from? Yeah, so I went to the trouble of putting on no spec files and default to sassy CSS, and that saved me a little time. And so I kind of like to check in just the generated files, just so that I have it separate, right? So we'll just say create placeholder components. Cool. All right, so let's go in and start doing some things with these different components. So we'll start by going into main, and instead of having it say main works, we'll load up some of these components. So these components by default, their tag is app hyphen, and then whatever you call them. So one was called create post, and you can go see that. You don't have to take my word for it. You can go see that in the TS file. So app create post. Actually, sometimes I like to copy paste, just that way I make fewer errors whenever I'm typing in HTML. And then after that, we're going to have an app post list. And again, you could go look at that one, but I feel like it's going to be right. And just that change does some things. Now it says create post works and post list works. Those were pretty exciting. Let's go over to the post list area. So I'm here in the post list, his HTML. And what he's going to really do is he's going to have a bunch of individual posts in him. So let's just go ahead and make a bunch of individual posts in him. He's going to be an app hyphen post. And then it's going to have a close. Let's just kind of put on like 3 of them. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. And then I suppose I ought to kind of wrap it in some sort of flex layout rule. Let's put it in a card, actually. So we're going to put this guy in a card. And then this card is going to be a layout of column. So they're all in a column. It's going to have a layout, a line on it. Mainly I want them to all like stretch their cross axis, and so it doesn't really matter on the main axis. You can say none, or you could say center, you could say start, it just doesn't matter. But I do want to stretch them on the cross axis, and I want to make sure that they're all kind of taking up the entire area there. So with this change, if I go back and look at it, you can see that it's now got a card in here, and it says post works, post works, post works. You'll also notice, just kind of as we're getting set up here, that it's still smashing over to the edge. And really that's because my router outlet didn't have any sort of container kind of around it, right? For sign in, so if I were to go over to the sign in page, for sign in it didn't really matter because we were centering the card, so who cared if there was padding. But for this page, it would be nice if our router outlet had a little bit of a container around it. And this is stuff we did before, so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of do this quickly. But here's my router outlet. It'd be nice if we kind of like wrap this guy up a little bit. So we'll just do some of the same things we did last time. So we'll add a layout align. of center, and that will center things, but then we're going to actually make another div inside of here, which is what I think of as my container, right? And so I kind of like this whole Bootstrap concept of kind of having a container. And my container, I can put rules on him, so I can make him flex to stretch, kind of like by default. And then I can, if it's like a medium-sized screen, I can limit him to where he doesn't go too big. So let's say we wanted to limit him to like 960 pixels. And if it's something that's greater than medium, I can just limit him to, I don't know, 1100 pixels. And that's a common thing that Bootstrap used to do is on big screens, it doesn't go full width, but on small screens, it does go full width, right? And so that'll kind of help us out some there. We could also take our container and go just add a little bit of CSS for a container. Let's just say we wanted to do a padding around him of 30 pixels. Cool, so if I save those things up, I should now kind of have a little bit of a wrapped in thing. So it says create post works, and I think it looks better. Now on mobile, my padding of 30 pixels is actually like a little too big, to be honest. So on mobile, I think I'd like a little less padding. And there are, of course, many ways to do these things. So, I mean, we could change it to 10, but the problem with just changing it to 10 is then on non-mobile, it kind of needs to be bigger. So, again, there's a lot of ways to fix problems like this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a flex layout trick just because it's already got these classes on here for me. And the trick I'm going to use looks like this. So you say class GTXS. So this is a class that's going to only be present whenever it's greater than small. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say container extra padding. Not a genius name, but that's easy. So it's going to have class kind of like as the default, but if it's greater than extra small, it's going to get this class of container extra padding. So what I can do now is I can say container extra padding, and I can make it 30 when I want extra padding. Now you could also do tricks like this using media queries, and there's nothing wrong with that solution. If you want to use a media query to do it, that's probably a better solution. I'm just kind of showing you all the different things that you can do, right? So you can add classes depending on how big the screen is. So now I'm on desktop and I've got a nice fat padding. And if I go to mobile, you can see I've got a nice lean padding. Cool, so that's just kind of doing a little bit of our setup work. So let's just go ahead and check in some of what we got here. So we've got, looks like I did some auto formatting things up there, but here's my wrapper around my outlet, my container, and then I've kind of like stubbed in some things for my post list and my main component. So this is really like stubbing in some HTML. You could also call it a router outlet container, right? So that's something that we've done a lot, is making a router outlet container. Oops, actually, right after that commit, I just realized something was horribly wrong. So I inadvertently put this inside the services folder. That was not supposed to happen. So I guess I got to do a little cleanup here. So I need to take these three folders and move them out of services. I guess personally I'd rather do things like that just inside Finder instead of inside this tool. I'm sure you can do it from either place, but I put mine in the wrong spot and I got to fix it. So you can see here that they got put into the services area, and that was not where they're supposed to go. I want to move them up to here. Now that is going to make somebody mad at me, right? And so that's going to make the app module mad at me. So I just got to fix this really quick. May as well just bite the bullet now. That was not supposed to be in services. That was not supposed to be in services. And that was not supposed to be in services. And so now that's all fixed. So easy peasy. Still works fine. So this is refactor to put component in the right place. All right, now with that, we've committed. And next time we'll do some more stuff and we'll start making the HTML that's in here more real. See you then. Bye.